Okay, and we are live. So it's great to be back here for another EKC Construction Technology webinar. I'm really excited to have Pixley with us here today. The title of today's event is Protecting Projects with Pixels. A little bit of a tongue twister, the power of reality capture. So we have a fantastic group to tell us more about this topic. I'm really excited just to be, part of this conversation because I've already heard some of the good thoughts kind of bouncing around from this group. But without further ado, I'll turn it over to each of you to give your own intro. But actually, before I do, Michael is unfortunately unable to join us today. We'll try to maybe get him in on a future conversation, but just wanted to say thanks for Michael for kind of signing up to participate. We're missing you today. Okay, so now I will jump right in. I'll pick on Lee first to kind of kick us off here. So Lee, tell us who you are, what you're working on, and a little bit about you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here today. It's an honor and a privilege. I'm the co-founder of Pixley. I've been in construction tech for about 12 years. I've visited hundreds of job sites of every shape and size, from ground up hospital builds, right, Kyle? Kitchen remodels, office parks, you name it, pretty much everything except a nuclear reactor. And they all have the same problem, and that is documentation with photos and videos to streamline building, to reduce disputes, to help things be built better and faster with less chaos. And I came up with the idea for Pixie about 5 years ago. And we've been growing fast and excited to be here and talk about how we solve a problem for the industry and more.
Amazing. And we'll get into a lot more of the details soon. Let's move next to Kyle. Tell us a little about yourself, your background, and what you're working on these days.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Kyle Carter. I've got a little over 10 years in the commercial construction and hospital construction industry. I've known Lee for a long, long time. He's a great friend and partner to have, that's for sure. I've done everything from, I guess, small on the $60 million side all the way up to the $500 million plus side, commercial, general commercial, but also hospital construction as well. And that's my role right now as the manager of planning, design, and construction with a large hospital system here in the Treasure Valley area. And we've got a lot of work to do. And to Lee's point, right, there's a lot of documentation and a lot of collaboration to be had, especially with the technology we have our hands on today. So excited to be here.
Excited to have you, Kyle. Awesome. And last but not least, Ryan, let us know a little bit about you, your background, and what you're working on these days.
Sure. My name is Ryan Nobles. I'm a regional vice president for Cantex Glass and Mirror. I've been in the glass and glazing business for about 28 years now. We've handled anywhere from, $10, $20 million commercial jobs all the way down to, five, six, $7,000, high end home construction projects. So, I've known Lee for about 15 years now. And then once he got started on this venture, he got me on board with Pixley, and we've been using it ever since. And it's an amazing advancement in construction technology, and it's helped us out immensely. And I'm fired up today to talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, fired up as well. So a quick note to those of you who are joining, thank you so much for hopping on. It might be a little early for the West Coast, but we might be getting some of our East Coasters on here. Please do feel free to ask questions, leave any comments or thoughts that you have into the chat or the comment box. We will see them. We will be able to answer them live. And this panel here has a wealth of knowledge and resources that might be helpful to you. So please do utilize that comment or chat box. All right. So getting into the weeds here, I think each of you mentioned a part of this, but construction documentation, it's not necessarily as straightforward as we would think. The process can sometimes be adversarial depending on, what the thing is that we're documenting or not documenting. So my question is kind of a big one out of the gate, but typically technology, we don't really think of it as something that makes things easier, I guess. But in this case, it's helping to build collaboration. So can the group speak a little bit more to that? And I'll maybe pick on Lee to kind of kick this one off.
Yeah, sure. Pick on me all you want. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many moving parts between the owner and the architect and all the subs. And a lot of people will probably agree with me, like sending project photos and asking questions via text and email is not the most efficient use of time. And if you have to go back and reference that conversation, whether it was yesterday, last week, or years from now, and a dispute arises, it's next to impossible. So having a platform where everybody and everything can be instantly shared, and everything's time, date, and location stamped and easy to find by person, by project, by tag, or by date, just saves massive amounts of time and stress.
Yeah, absolutely. This, as you said that, it reminded me of something from my own experience where, we had dug up a photo, as backup for a change order, and like, oh, look, it's like this lift, like we rented it for this amount of time, whatever, we're logging it. It's like, wait a minute, this actually isn't the right day or time or anything because we're just manually sorting through files upon files upon files on like a local drive that's on somebody's computer. And lo and behold, it's not the red lift that we needed to find. It was the blue lift that we needed to find. And digging through manually, it was a nightmare. So yeah, if I had a wish list, it would have been to be able to find something quick and easy.
And I was going to chime in there too, Aaron. How long did that take you, right?
Yeah,
Like if
exactly.
you had a platform that you could, tag things, right, and find them efficiently and effectively, to Lee's point earlier, right, it's all about saving time.
Yeah. And curious to know your thoughts, Kyle, as well on the collaboration that's kind of, as a result of using the tech. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, I think that especially in hospital construction, right, there are a lot of stakeholders, and me as an owner, I take a lot of photos, right. So a lot of the upfront work is on me to do my best to organize those photos so that when I do need to go back and find them, I can do that easily, as opposed to scrolling through, right. But I mean, it depends on the stakeholder and what they're wanting to see, and also I think we need to consider what are we taking a picture of, right? Because we can sometimes take pictures of things that may show something else in the background that may trigger somebody else, right? Perhaps in a negative way. But as far as collaboration from an owner's perspective, it's very important to be able to take the photos that you need to take to be able to collaborate with the people that you need to collaborate with. So, I mean, I take a lot of photos, and whether I'm collaborating with a general contractor, a subcontractor, an architect, or even a CFO or a CEO, right? It's all about having those photos available to collaborate when questions come up or when something gets asked of you, right? And you need to go back and find something effectively and efficiently to be able to speak to it, whether it be a report out, right? Or whether it be just a general conversation about what happened here.
Yeah, you just ran through all of those titles so quickly. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many
Oh,
stakeholders in this industry. And you just like kind of rattled off that list. I'm like, yeah, they all have to be aligned on the same thing. And we can't do that unless we're all looking at the same thing, right?
mhm.
That's a really good point. And
Yeah,
then, oh,
then there's the inspectors. So Michael Davis is going to talk about that, but then for hospitals, you have the IORs that add another layer. So yeah, it's all about
yes.
collaboration in real time, saving time.
Yes, inspection is a huge, huge one as well. Curious as well, Ryan, if you have anything that you want to add to this as well from your
Yeah,
end.
no, I think the efficiency and having the ability to go direct to your client, your customer, the owner, in real time, um, is so beneficial. The way this particular app works, it's quick, it's easy, it's easy to bring up with the different tags that you have. If you have a safety concern, if you have an inspection or a quality control issue, just to simply tag it and share it. And sometimes, you'll have an instantaneous response, which in the world of construction, time is money. And
Hmm.
that is one of the huge benefits that we find um, in this whole photo sharing collaboration is time saving And then obviously the documentation that goes along with it is, speaks for itself and is always available to reference back to.
Yeah, and that's a perfect tie-in. Ooh, we're getting some thumbs up in the chat, some heart reactions. I think well said there. So thank you for those who are kind of reacting in the chat. We really appreciate that. Also take a second for anyone. I think I just saw a couple people pop in. Please do use that comment or chat box to ask any questions or share any thoughts with us. Really well said, Ryan. That takes us right into, I think, our next topic pretty well, which is notifications. So in the industry, typically notifications take a lot of time. Somebody has to either manually sit down and write out an email or, call somebody up. It takes a lot of, effort to kind of get that out. But what you mentioned was like real time collaboration. So an instantaneous sharing almost, with whoever you're sharing with, right? So how do those notifications interact with like just the general team communication and the team dynamics that are on the job site? And maybe Ryan, you can expand on this, and then we'll go to Kyle and Lee.
Sure, no, you bet. We actually had a case scenario just the other day where we were on site, and we had an instance where someone was taking a lift and driving it across the grass and just creating a complete mess. It had just rained, and so site superintendent informed our project manager. Our project manager reached out to the facilities manager, and instantaneously, essentially, he was able to come over and direct those guys to a different path to save future headaches of repair, replacement, and just probably some bad outcomes.
Yeah.
The school's getting ready to get started. They don't have time to get all that. These schools take pride in their appearance, and so they should. So it was just a situation that could have escalated, but because of the speed and efficiency of the app, it was really curtailed, I guess.
Yeah, you can kind of mitigate some risky things that may happen so that it's, less impactful and more positive.
Sure.
So
It
really
was
good.
definitely done in real time, so that made a huge difference.
Yeah. Kyle and Lee, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, being an owner, especially when you're working on a hospital project that is massive in scale, and you've got a handful of different superintendents, right? Nobody can be in more than one place at once than one place. So I mean, I remember multiple instances of me doing a job walk, right, or just a site walk, and I noticed something like when you're working on an active hospital, right, and you've got active construction. One of the biggest things, right, is safety, not only for the construction folks,
Absolutely.
but for hospital folks, for patients, for maybe just bystanders walking down a public sidewalk. But if you've got a construction fence that may be downed, or maybe the green screen is coming off, or maybe there's a gate open, or maybe the wind blew a section of fence, whatever it wants to be. I remember multiple instances of taking a photo of something and sharing it via Pixly to the superintendent, and he would immediately get that notification, right? And he would jump on it, as opposed to me maybe texting a photo, right? Or emailing a photo. They really wouldn't know exactly where that was at. Then I would get a phone call, then I would have to tell them, right? And it's just streamlined the process of buttoning up our construction site fence.
Yeah, I think what strikes me as really cool is that in that example, everybody has access to it. Because I think a lot of times maybe the GC just has their own platform that they keep to themselves. It's not really shared, or other team members or stakeholders on the project aren't really using it for whatever reason. But your example there, Kyle, like you're using it too from the owner's perspective. That's really, really cool. And it kind of is, yeah, exactly, like bridging that communication gap between, what you guys see and need to get addressed versus, what the team is seeing, because the team's, trying to do a million things every day. They can't be everywhere all at once. So,
right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Lee, I'm sure you have some thoughts on this one too.
Of course. I mean, yeah, we do lots of notifications. I mean, you could be notified individually or as a team for every single time there's a photo added, or a video added or a tag or a comment or a task. And so depending on your permission level and who you are, you might want to know about everything every single time. But if that photo or that tag or that task is assigned to you, you get notified immediately regardless. And that's in the app and via email. And all of that is time, date, location stamped as well. So if you assign something to Dave and Dave's like, I didn't get that. I'm like, no, yeah, you actually did, because here's the time, date, location stamped messaging. So it helps keep everybody accountable as well.
Yeah, that accountability piece is huge, right? Because I feel like there's so many claims in construction. There's a lot of finger pointing. Unfortunately, when things get, heated over one issue or another, that may come up. But if we have something that's keeping everybody accountable in line, it's really clear. It kind of takes away that stress or that tension from what we're dealing with, right?
Yeah, it basically it forces everybody to be more honest, or be honest about it. It's just transparency, accountability and transparency, really.
I was just going to say that transparency, right? Because it's not intended to be adversarial, right? All we're trying to do is support the common goal and the end goal of delivering a successful project. But accountability plays a large role in that.
Well, along with that, I think it helps build relationships as well, like you're talking about, Kyle, the accountability and having everybody in the loop. And it doesn't have to be adversarial. I think when technology first came out and uploading photos and then sending them emails, a lot of times those were construed as adversarial because you're sending it to one particular person with an email that may or may not have been derogatory or taken wrong. This way, it's more collaborative. It's more real time, and it's, hey, let's work efficiently together to get either the problem solved, or hey, maybe it's something that turned out really good that you wanted to include the owner in on, the architect in on, or something to that effect. So again, I think the paradigm has shifted to being adversarial to more of a relationship building. I think this app really does that, and it's done that for us, I know.
Absolutely. I'm curious to know, I think a couple stories have been shared that have been good examples, but maybe going a little bit deeper, are there any past experiences that the group can share where, you wish you had a photo or some sort of documentation and you just didn't or couldn't find it, and it wasn't as collaborative and productive as it could have been? I think I see some gear wheels turning.
Well, I think
I think the short answer is yeah. We've probably all been there, but
yeah. Well, I mean, anytime you're working with a company, if you have any kind of IT issues, servers down, some of those types of scenarios, or you have a guy on the job site that doesn't necessarily have the best technology. You wish that maybe he had something to photo document something with. I think there's a lot of instances where we can all look back and say, man, it would have been nice to have something like this.
Yeah. Or, the flip side too, was there an example? I think maybe one or two have been shared, but another example where you actually did have what you needed. And Lee, feel free to use any, past client experiences too that you've seen where they actually did have their data ready to go in order, and it saved, the team a bunch of headache and time and money.
I mean, I could talk a common one that I hear about a lot. For example, one is in residential construction, and so you have the foundation guys. They come out, they lay the concrete, they pour the driveway, then they leave, and they do like 6, 12, 20 pads. Then everybody else comes in and they build the rest of the house. The house is done, except, oh wait, there's a crack in the concrete now. Who's going to pay for that? And then they come back and they blame the subcontractor on that. And he's like, well, no, it was perfect when I left. We'll prove it. Well, yeah, until they had Pixley. They're like, it was perfect when I left. Here's photos of the entire pour. When we left, everything was graded. Everything was perfectly done on June 17th, 2024. We'll fix it, but you have to pay us. So that's just one. I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands of stories of that happening with drywall, window installations, signage, like you name it. I can't call anybody out specifically, but that's the common problem.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like we see it all the time in this industry, and any tools that kind of help mitigate that. And I hope one day the vision is that we have those incidences like just completely out of our industry because everything's just at a such high level of documentation. But
Right.
well, we're getting there, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to share one experience. We've done many high rise
Yeah.
condo projects, and one of the infamous issues has always been the door hardware. Right, we walk away, we install, we adjust it, make sure it's operating completely 100% functional. We leave, and then nobody can track what happens behind us. And with that photo sharing, and even with the live video, right, which
Hmm.
Pixel has, you can actually video that, and then you have that in true real time to share with everyone in the team. So that's been a huge part help for us.
Great. Yeah, great to hear, Ryan. 100%. I'm thinking back when I was a PE, running around taking photos. I'm like, I wish I had this tool to kind of address all of these things that kind of come up all the time in the industry. But yeah, fantastic. So I'm curious to know, we kind of have to, I kind of feel like I have to bring up artificial intelligence, right? There's a lot of buzz in the industry. It's not going away anytime soon, or if ever. It's just kind of permeating everything, especially obviously technology solutions that we're seeing and implementing. Maybe first starting with Lee, curious to get your thoughts on how AI, is and in the future will be tying into more aspects of project documentation.
Yeah, you can't go a minute without hearing or reading or seeing or something about AI.
Yeah,
And so
it's everywhere.
which is great. I'm all about it. I mean, at the end of the day, people on the job site don't care how the problem is solved, whether it's with AI or not. They just want the problem solved, right? But the initial idea for Pixie from the very get-go, and the reason our domain is .ai, is for artificial intelligence.
Hmm.
So right now with Pixie, you can quickly and easily manually tag photos and videos and add comments and tasks. But we have a proof of concept that's going to be released soon where we automatically do the tagging. And so you do walk to your job site, either with photos or videos, we'll automatically tag, reference, sort, and organize. Sorry, I live by the train.
Yeah, all good.
It's
Strong
good luck.
horn.
Literally, it's across the street.
Yeah,
We have a proof of concept where we automatically tag everything in the photo or the video and organize it and manage it based on AI. And so that will be released before the end of the year.
that's really exciting to hear. Yeah,
Yes, and that just further helps people save more time because on the
yeah,
job site, every minute counts.
exactly.
For sure. And question for you on that, Lee. What did or what does the AI learning process look like for Pixley to go automatically tag that stuff?
Well, we have to have a ton of content to train the model, right? And so we have a fair amount of content, but we're always seeking more. And then we're looking at it outside libraries to train it even further. And then we before we do a full on release, we're going to have like a beta release with a few select customers, probably you guys.
Good to have this group on here. Yeah, exciting times. Yeah, I always come back to the concept of data, right? Data is just so important, but we haven't typically thought of it that way in our industry. I think for most of us, we've probably said, "Oh yeah, I'll fill out this form," or it doesn't matter so much if everything's perfectly entered into the computer. But these data entries that we're putting into our tech systems are becoming more and more important as things like AI, machine learning, all that stuff starts to get involved in our lives. So, yeah, really good to see, gathering of data, being strategic with it, making different things that can help save us time. Um, so, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, on that note, so we have APIs and we have customers that take all the data and all the content and all the photos and all the videos and everything from Pixley and port it into their CRM. And they oftentimes use that to track how many photos or videos are taken by project, how many tags are assigned, what type of tag, what project has more delays or issues or safety versus another. Is that a project problem? Is that a superintendent problem? Is that a team issue or opportunity? And so, yeah, content and data is like more important. It's valuable as time goes on, and so you can prove what's working and what's not working, so you can improve your profit margins on future projects.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking of risk as well. In general, there are a lot of things that we do in the industry that are risky. I think it's just unfortunately an inherently risky industry. There are always, claims. We're always looking at productivity. Obviously, safety is a huge one. Which area of your businesses would you say most benefit from good documentation? Is it just field operations? Is it legal? Is it something else that we might not be thinking of?
For us, it's operations, and
Yeah.
creating that relationship. Whether talking about documentation and data, right? Punch lists are always kind of the taboo topic, but when you can instantaneously take care of punch lists as you're going or as they're being noticed by contractors and have that collaboration, it definitely helps on the operational efficiency side. And everybody knows the hardest part to construction jobs are starting and finishing. And to help us finish a job, when you can collaborate on punch list items and get that done so you can get your retainage, it's invaluable. It's and this and Pixley does a fantastic job of allowing us to do that.
Yeah. Something you said there, and get the retainage, like you're closing out the job. Like this is super important. It goes all the way through, like start to finish, but even before the job, right? So there's a ton of collaboration that can happen to ensure and kind of help you have some assurance that you're going to have a smooth start and a smooth finish. Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm in there too.
pre-existing conditions, right?
Say that one more time, Lee, and then we'll go to Kyle.
You don't want any surprises on pre-existing conditions.
Yes, especially on renovation projects, which I've been on a few of those. So, yeah. Kyle, you had a thought there as well.
Yeah, I think, well, since Lee said pre-existing conditions, right? I mean, I think, Pixley can really help with, like, for instance, TI and renovation projects, right? Because if the previous project that you completed was, let's call it, properly photo documented, well, now you've got, a massively utilizable tool to go back and say, hey, this is what we did. We know it's above ceiling. We know what's behind the walls, right? To the extent that you took photos. But, record drawings and as-built, they only go so far. There's a lot of discovery efforts that need to go into, to inform the design, right? Or inform some sort of condition, whether it be foreseen or unforeseen, right? So that we can put a solution to it. So, that's one thing that we use in the hospital construction industry pretty frequently, right? Is I think we use more photos than we necessarily do record drawings, right? Because I never call them as-built in a hospital
Yeah,
environment.
say more.
Yeah, because a lot of the times, at least a couple of hospital systems that I've been a part of, the record drawings are, we'll call them shoddy, right? It's massively a trust but verify resource, right? But a photo speaks 1,000 words, and I think I'll leave that one at that. But also I wanted to tag along to. You spoke about legal, right? And for any large organization with a photo speaking 1,000 words, right, that could help you massively in some sort of legal claim. Not necessarily a construction claim, right, but some other legal instance. That photo could massively help you. So having that in your back pocket is could save everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it just popped into my mind an instance where this is a completely separate experience, but I think the team had PT cables installed in their deck and thought that they like either missed one or it was in the wrong spot or something. And they were able to go back to their documentation and see, okay, actually, it's exactly in the right spot. Engineer was able to verify it pretty quickly. But that could have been a really, really big, expensive problem to kind of go back and fix. And probably a lot of claims too could have been wrapped up in that. So,
Right. I mean,
power.
I'll share one more thing too. Back to the record drawing versus photos. I remember being in Southern California and working in an OR. We were replacing booms, lights, integration, various things in this operating room, and our record drawing said one thing, but when we opened the ceiling, right, the ceiling said something different.
Surprise.
So having a structural engineer that, number one, you have a great relationship with, but number two, is familiar with the hospital, I was able to share photos with him, and it was actually via Pixley, and he was able to create us on the fly, right, a detail that would work for our instance, so that we didn't have to stop, right, and potentially experience a delay in getting a custom detail made for the specific condition that we saw. So
Amazing.
power of
Yeah.
photos, relationships, and partnerships.
That's
Awesome.
fantastic. Yeah, I'm like, wow, that's a really powerful example. So thanks for sharing that. So we're getting towards, we are ending a little bit earlier today than usual. So for our audience that's out there, just one more reminder, please do use that comment or chat box, share any thoughts that you have with our group, or any questions about their experience. There's a lot of experience here in our discussion today. So please do use that comment or chat box. And then let's see. I'm kind of deciding, what is a hot topic here to kind of get some more interesting sides of the discussion going. But what is your favorite? Oh, go ahead, Lee.
I mean, disputes. I mean, how often are people in the field in the office dealing with disputes, and what percent of those go to court, and how do they protect themselves and win or prevent them from going to court? Like at the end of the day, that's like one of our biggest value props is like kind of, for lack of a better word, CYA, or I like to say, Kyle, we got your six. So if a dispute comes up, you can protect or defend yourself.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the stuff that nobody thinks about, right? Because they think, oh, my project's going to go well and it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
It never is. But we always are positive and optimistic about it somehow. But at the end of the day, to your point, like you never know when and if you're going to need something. So it's, better to just have that ready.
Yeah, well, I've heard disputes happen up to 5 or 6 years later, and they could even be workers' comp disputes or claims. So somebody hurt their back installing a ladder or falling down a stairwell or something. And I've known superintendents that have spent weeks trying to find a photo to prove that it was cordoned off or whatever to defend their case. They spent literally weeks. So, a high caliber superintendent, that's an expensive amount of time. They never found the photo and they lost the workers' comp dispute.
Well, and along those lines, I would also say that a lot of times your part does go well, but that doesn't eliminate you from being dragged into court for someone else's, another contractor. And then, a lot of times, a lot of the subs that don't even have anything to do with it still get brought into it. So to have that archive of photos, videos, and communications is invaluable.
On that note as well, Ryan, I mean, from the maybe more of the sub perspective, I think what happens a lot too is that the trades typically may be like forced into using the GC's platform or whatever solution, and maybe they're not necessarily capturing their own data for themselves. So it's nice to have just another way that says, no, here's our own documentation, in addition to, whatever the GC team or the owner team is kind of documenting as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely, because you still have control over that. Whereas if you're on a contractor's platform, ultimately they have control over all that and all that documentation, right? So having a secondary backup, to utilize, and then different contractors have different, packages that they like to use. And so to have your guys out in your field, to have one source that they're familiar with, that they don't have to, keep switching back and forth to, or using different platforms is a huge benefit, we find. And so I think sometimes it's initially there's a little bit of a hesitation for field guides level at field level to use it, but we've found once they've used it and started to use it, it's so easy to use that they fall in love with it. And we give out I don't want to say bonuses or awards or
Just some sort of incentive.
yeah, incentives on the safety side, right? I think so
Yeah.
many people worry about catching someone that
Yeah.
that we endorse using it to show that when people are doing things right and when our guys are doing things safely, and then obviously we have that archived as well too. So from all the different tags there are available, I mean, whatever you can think of, there's a tag to assign it to and to have that archived and to really help your case in the event, again, that you're on a contractor's platform that maybe you won't have access to at a later date.
Right. And I see some clapping reactions or emojis in the chat. So I think you're being applauded for that focus on safety. I would applaud that as well. Yeah, that safety perspective is a huge one, which is just what I'm kind of keying in on here, 100%. So yeah, I think I've seen like, oh yeah, safety bucks, or you're required to get this KPI in, but it's really hard to do it even if you want to, if it's not easy to do.
Right.
So taking away that barrier of reporting really gets the field engaged, I think is what you're getting at there.
Yep. No, it does, and it does it in real time too, and that's
Yeah.
that's the fantastic thing about it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I feel like everybody knows how to use, one of these devices. Makes it easy to get the data from point A to point B. All right. Kyle and Lee, any thoughts on implementation and training? Because that's kind of what we're touching on here as well, especially in an industry where like there are a lot of not super tech savvy individuals.
Yeah, I can go first. So again, I've visited hundreds of job sites. I've been an early employee at a few other construction tech companies with amazing technology. I'm intimately familiar with the 360 reality capture space. I think it's awesome. However, they all require extra hardware, a 360 camera. It's either you have to hold it or it's on your hard hat. You have to
Yeah.
take a picture every time you walk 5 or 10 steps. They all are hard to use. They all require training. They all require custom quotes. They all require extensive rollouts and that's where I saw the opportunity for Pixly. It's like, you don't need any extra hardware. You do everything with your phone. It's just super simple, requires little to no training. Anybody can use it, from the saltiest, crustiest superintendent, late 60s, right? That's my guy, right? To the younger people that are graduating with construction management degrees and grew up with tech. So that's the big difference. Everything's with your iPhone or your Android phone. And we're also building a LiDAR capture with the iPhone Pro Max. But yeah, Pixly is like really easy to use for field adoption. That's super important. So you don't have to have a pilot project. You can just roll it out in like a day, literally.
All right. I think we all immediately were like, yeah, the crustiest superintendent is gonna be using this one because it's made for them basically. If you can do that, you can do anything, I think.
Right.
Amazing. So we're getting towards the end of our time a little bit. So to our audience, feel free to share any thoughts, comments again. And then let's go around. So Kyle, can you share one last thought on just the power of reality capture? Like why should anybody try to be doing reality capture with a technology solution? And then if anybody wants to reach out or connect, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I think with reality capture, at the end of the day, at least my mindset is, how can we utilize technology to be the biggest value add to the project and to the whole entire team? And I think, technology, AI, right, it's here to stay, number one. And number two, it can add a whole lot of value, right, to a project and to a project team. So I think that's what I'll say, right, on that. But, as far as, reaching out and connecting, I'm happy to do that with anybody who wants to. And I think that LinkedIn is probably the best way to do that.
Yeah, LinkedIn, usually the go-to there. All right, so I'll move on next to Ryan. So, kind of the same question. So, especially from the trade perspective, why would anybody want to, or why should they invest in a tech solution to help them do better documentation? And if anybody wants to reach out to you afterwards, where can they find you?
Sure. No, you bet. I appreciate it. No, I think in the world of subcontracting, it's all about efficiency and building those relationships. And that's exactly what the photo capture and video capture allows you to do, right? And, kind of sub elements of those are kind of all the things that we've talked about, all wrapped up in one.
Mm-hmm.
And to make it very user friendly, like Pixely does, to where the guys in the field want to use it, it creates enormous efficiency, which adds to the bottom line. And that's we're all here to make a reasonable profit while protecting our employees and protecting our company, and that's what it does. So, I appreciate being part of this conversation. And again, to reach out to me, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. That'll probably be the easiest and best way to find me.
Awesome. And just picking on something that you said, Ryan, like it's really the best way to do these things, like protect your project, help your bottom line, et cetera, et cetera. It's really, I feel like to me, if companies are going to stay surviving in the industry, and hopefully not surviving, but thriving, it's kind of a must have to stay competitive. I almost see it as, you got to have something that's helping you out, because you can't really go back to, or, still rely on some of the more manual ways of doing things. We just have too many demands, I think, on us in the industry in terms of schedule, safety, budget, all these things that have just increased, I think, over the years so much. Like, where are we going to find the time? We just can't. So I really see it as, a new foundation or standard way of working. You've got to have some tech solution to help you do these things. Otherwise, you're going to miss out.
No, absolutely. You hit it dead on.
All right. So let's go to Lee. Lee, let us know, why. I mean, I think we've covered it pretty thoroughly, but maybe something that most people don't think about when approaching reality capture, as to why it's important, and then where can people find you?
Yeah, well, it's just important across the board. People oftentimes have to prove their work when they submit invoices. They have to prove their work for RFIs or submittals or to answer questions. There's just a much easier way than old school complicated software that's out there that a lot of people use, or uploading and adding to folders or drives, or cutting and pasting the PowerPoint, or the ultimate waste of time is just texting and emailing. So Pixely is by without a doubt the easiest and fastest way to instantly, automatically document and share your project photos and videos. Everything's time, date, location stamped. We save massive amounts of time. We reduce stress, so you guys can go home sooner, faster, and spend time with your wife, your family, your kids, your loved ones, riding motorcycles or fishing, whatever you want to do, instead of stressing over job sites. And if you haven't had a dispute yet, you will. 30% of projects have disputes that go to court, and you need a solution like Pixely to protect you. I'm very easy to find on LinkedIn on Lee Mills. My email is lee@pixely.ai, and anybody's welcome to try Pixely for free. You can find us in the App Store, Apple or Android, and we look forward to helping as many people as we can.
Awesome. Yeah, motorcycles and more time with family is what I got. For me, it might be more time with my cats and my husband, but yeah, don't quite have a Harley yet, but maybe. Awesome. So I'll pause here for any questions. I think it's been maybe a little lighter today, maybe because of the earlier time, but we'll pause here for just another minute or two. While waiting for any questions or comments to come in, I do want to share a really big thank you to the group for participating in this discussion, for sharing, your thoughts, your experiences with this. I think a lot of individuals and companies, organizations out there tend to be hesitant of just technology in general. Our industry is often very tech weary for some okay reasons, but we're at a point, I think, where a lot of that is shifting, especially in light of all the AI fun stuff that's been going on, you kind of have to be doing something with tech to stay efficient, stay competitive, get all these benefits with safer, bottom line, like you said, Ryan, all those good things, better communication, collaboration, etc. Can throw out many other buzzwords, but we'll keep it at that. So thank you guys again for your time, for contributing to the discussion. And one last note to our audience. So this event will remain recorded on the event page, both on LinkedIn and YouTube. Should you wish to come back to it or even ask any questions after the fact that may come up, feel free to do so. So that comment box is always open for you. We really appreciate you coming, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. So with that, we'll close out for today, and thank you guys again.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good day.